Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks and you're checking out a massive tutorial on ADSR. In this video, we're going to be looking at how you can make a dark hip-hop style bass. You could use it in some other genres like future bass as well, inside of Native Instruments Massive. So let's play this little demo real quick, and I will highlight the bass track that we will be looking at in a color so you can see easily what we're going to be isolating. All right, so as you can hear, it has a sub element to it, but it's not a like sinusoidal sub sound. It's this sound that's really popular in R&B and hip hop and even future bass right now. It's basically like, I call it like a character sub bass. It gives you that low end. Like if we pulled up an equalizer here and we looked at the frequencies that are represented, turn on the analyzer. All right, there's stuff happening in a sub frequencies anywhere from 20 to 60 to 65 hertz. So it fills that role, but it's not as clean as a typical sub. So we're gonna look at, I've gotten a couple requests on how to make these types of sounds, so I thought I would show you guys how to do it. So let's mute the track. And now we have a stock preset in Massive that we're gonna start to edit. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is jump over to the voicing tab and make it a one voice or monophonic, one voice and monophonic. All right, so let's get it off of the buzzy sound. So the sound, that wavetable that I used for this was crude. You could use a few other types of, or a few other wavetables. You just wanna stay away from the really clean ones and the really, really buzzy ones. So a saw wavetable like this is a little bit too buzzy. Some of the, like the polysaws will be a little bit weird if we listen to those. Right, so I like using the analog and electric hybrids. So I used the crude wavetable. Because on certain wavetable positions and lower intensity, it loses a lot of the buzz that I don't want. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pitch this down an octave. Actually, let's pitch this down by 2 octaves, so -24. So that'll be more in that sub-frequency range there. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna have to control a lot of the position and the intensity coupled with a filter to really get this sound right. So I'm gonna take the wavetable position down to about right here, the intensity to just a smidge over halfway. And that's really the only oscillator tone that I'm gonna use. I am gonna use one of the modulation oscillators. So let's go down to the modulation oscillator and we're gonna use a little bit of phase on this, and this will make it a lot brighter right now. But just give it just a little boost, just to give it that character, because we're gonna filter a lot of that out. All right, let's go over to our filter 1, and I'm gonna select the daft filter. We're gonna keep the cutoff about where it is, turn it down, turn the resonance down a little bit as well. Okay, and now what we're gonna do here is we are going to go to, let's go to the oscillator tab and turn the glide down. Okay, now it already sounds pretty good. But I'm gonna add a little of kind of the elements to it that make it take it from just a solid sounding bass tone to something that's a little bit more interesting to the ear. Let's go to envelope 2. Let's turn the attack time up a little bit, turn the level down almost all the way. We're gonna turn the level down of the decay down. So you just have this little like bump right there. So let's take the attack out just a little bit further and we'll turn the release down as well. And we're gonna use this to modulate the pitch of our sound. We're gonna go up 64. All right, so let's take the attack in and turn the decay down, actually. So the level's up too high, and the decay is up too high, you get this little laser sound. But if you turn both of them down, we want this line kind of right before where it says delete. That just nice, gives it a nice smooth, almost a slide into some of the notes, which I like. And we want this to be reset every time a note is pushed, so I'm gonna hit trig 0 reset. All right, let's go to the fourth envelope, which is tied to our amp mod by default, and let's change some of these parameters. Okay, I'm gonna turn the level down on this because, if you're wondering why I'm doing that, I'm gonna kill the level on the fourth envelope, which really destroys the tail of the decay of the sound. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the release up a little on this, let's turn the decay up all the way. What we can do then is use a filter envelope to control a little bit more of the decayed part of the sound, which will help us get more of the timbre and tone that we want ultimately. So I'm just using this so it's not as steady of a tone with the frequencies that are coming through the mix. Let's go to our first envelope, which we're going to use to modulate into the filter. I'm going to keep the attack pretty much where it is. Let's take the decay down just a smidge. Let's take this level up pretty much all the way. And we're even going to take this release up a huge amount. And now what we're going to do is we're going to modulate in a negative direction in our cutoff. So if we turn this off, it's kind of a buzzy. It doesn't fit this genre or this feel, right? But I'm going to turn the attack up. If I turn the attack up all the way, see how that buzz comes through? I want a little bit of that buzz coming through because it's kind of a high frequency content. And the attack of this is going to fight with a lot of the kicks. All right, now let's start to do some things that make this sound a little bit more interesting. So we're going to use an LFO and a performer to actually, our stepper, to add some movement into this bass. And we're going to modulate the pan position of this. So if I do this too quickly, it's not like a tremolo effect, right? But with a value of 2/1, just moves through our stereo field a little. Now with the amp down and the proper amount of, not necessarily proper, but a lesser amount of the actual modulation depth, it just slightly moves some parts of the bass off center, but not too much to where it kind of takes it out of the center of the mix. It's just, for me, this helps it fit a little bit better with the kick sometimes. All right, now another thing we're going to do to add some movement is we're going to go to the fifth LFO and we're going to select a stepper. And I'm going to create just a little kind of a ascending and descending step here that peaks at about step 4 and then goes back down to the bottom position at 8. Change the length to about 8, and then for the rate, we're going to have this really low. We don't want to sync it. And we're going to keep it kind of free running. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to modulate the wavetable position just up a little bit and the intensity up a little bit. And then we're going to turn the amp down to about halfway. So if I turn the rate up and amp up a lot, you'll be able to hear it more pronounced. Just a little bit of movement can help this bass sound a little bit more lively in the mix. All right, and then I'm going to make a cutoff control here in one of our main macros down here, just so we can control that. So if we want more of a brightness to it. All right, let's add a little bit of noise too. We're gonna go down to the noise and let's do pipe. Pipe's kind of a weird one. It's called water pipe. It'll just show up as pipe if we solo this. want to take the amp down. So if we turn off the oscillator, that's what we have. Just some weird little hum. All right, so that sounds pretty cool. Let's go to our FX1, and there's an effect that I like to add on these types of basses. I like to add a little bit of phaser. I'm going to turn the dry wet down a lot, turn the rate down really low, and the depth down quite a bit. And I'm going to add a little bit of dimension expander. These two things I'm doing are just to add a little bit of width to it. I'm going to turn the dry wet down, the size down a little bit. Just makes the bass a little bit bigger sounding in the mix. Now for the EQ, I'm going to turn the boost up, make it a little bit more nasally, turn the frequency up, and the high shelf down. Okay, and I had an equalizer active on the preset as well. I was taking out everything from about 2500 up, and I took out some of the sub frequencies from about 30 hertz. And the last thing I did was to add a little bit more color to the sound. I used a little bit of bit crush. It has just some nice grit to it, especially for hip hop and R&B. There it is. That is pretty much the sound, guys. The key points to take away from this is if you're trying to get like a low-end meaty bass to a future bass track, to an R&B track, to an OVO hip-hop style track, you don't have to just stay using a sine or a square. You can use other wavetables in Massive. Just take out the high frequencies and filter out the high frequencies using a low pass, or even like a DAFT, or even a scream filter. And I like to use a kind of a reverse envelope here to take these out. If we take off this envelope right here, envelope 1 on our oscillator, our filter, it's a lot more buzzy. Hear that? So that's one of the key elements to getting that. And there you have it, guys. If you have any questions or comments, let me know below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm Echo Soundworks. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.